Would you like to hear the name?
Sorry,
Oh wait,
forgot she did that.
okay. It's called Hoot Coffee,
Oh,
not owl, but like fun hoot. Because I
yes.
think hoot to me is like the perfect word for it. Because it's more than just fun. It's like if you describe someone or something as a hoot, it's like not in your face, like slapstick fun or funny. It's just like, oh, they're just nice to be around. Like it's nice to engage, it's fun to engage with them.
It's
So
really memorable as well. It's like Hoot Coffee, and I like as well. It's four letters for each word. It's
yeah,
like your logo. That's really nice. Even
yeah.
not too long, not too short.
hmm hmm
Hey.
So yeah, bought the domain, got the Instagram handle. I've contracted a designer, start working on like logos and visuals and stuff like that. So
It's all go.
oh
Wow,
yeah,
that's
all go. Very exciting.
you know what I realized about it as well, which I feel is very Gina. It's got almost like a Miss Marple vibe. I feel like super. Oh, what a hoot!
Get in.
Got that vibe to it.
Nice. Ooh,
Jolly,
yeah.
jolly time.
Hell yeah. I will take that. I'll
Yeah,
take that. Thank you.
excellent. Yeah. Well, that's fabulous news. What about you, Lauren?
I've had a bit of a mixed week, really. So again, I did the same thing. I had to send a quote off somebody. They wanted to know my rates and went back and forwards. I had spreadsheets. I was trying to work out every different way possible to see if I was doing something wrong. But like I said, it seems to keep coming out the same number. So I just sent that number and I'm waiting to hear.
Nice.
Were you two doing it to see if you could get the price down?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I
but then
do.
it's one of those things you do think to yourself, well, if I put my old rate in, that's fine, but do I really want to be working for that? Like just carry on doing that? Is it ever going to change?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm just waiting to hear. But then I had another weird one. Somebody wanted me to do some work. They'd never met me, but I'd been recommended to them. And just after one phone call, they're like, oh, come and work with us, do this. And I was like, well, I'm not sure. And I went to meet them, had an amazing meeting, and then sort of got in contact with them after my holiday. Because it's like, don't worry about it on holiday, come back to us. And then just nothing.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's thrown me a little bit because you think, God, how can it have been so like everything? And now
Yeah.
you've seen like they've read your messages and you're like, well, I don't really know. So I'd spent ages getting this quote together, breaking down the projects. It was a big project. And I just need their email address to send it across. I was like, so what's your email address? And just nothing. And I was a bit like, oh, what's happened? So you know when that happens, you just feel I'm not really sure. I don't want to chase them or keep like. So I've sent 2 messages. I think like that's enough, but it just sort of knocks you a little bit, doesn't it?
yeah.
Mm.
That's weird, isn't it, when that happens? You never know what's going on in their business for that to happen, though.
Like internally something, but you just think, oh, but then I'm trying to think, well, if they're like that before we even started, do I actually want to work for them? Could they just go quiet at any point in the project? Or so maybe it's a good thing, but yeah. But it's annoying because I'd already started like booking time out on my planner for like when I could do it, because I'd done that to work out how much the job should be. And then when you start deleting those things, you're like, oh, that's like chunks of work just coming away.
Mm.
But yeah, so that's my week.
I always say it might be worth getting in touch with them in a different way as well.
Yeah,
It's weird. That's frustrating, isn't it?
Mm.
it's a weird one.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll start today because I've sent Gemma a message, but it's not delivered. So God knows where she is. Probably battling a cat with an abscess or something. And then Satvir and Eve can't join us today, and I've not heard from Stephen. He's been well last time he was on holiday sunning himself, but he's been I know Ibiza I think he said as well.
Oh, ridiculous.
He's been embedding new team members in and stuff, so He's been finding himself busy. So we'll crack on, guys. The star members of the group are here anyway.
I didn't want to say it, but yeah, I would agree.
Definitely. Well, you can talk about anything today. Anything you like.
I know. I think I was hoping there'd be more people because I'm not sure if I've got much to show or share since last week.
That's fine.
Week before.
I'm sure we'll find things to chat about. How are you doing on your blueprint? Where are you up to? Where are your holes?
I've just started the Your Marketing one.
Mm.
And I've just started doing my competitor analysis.
Oh, right.
It's interesting. I thought originally I put loads of people on my direct competitor list, but then when I looked at it, I was like, no, they don't quite do what I want to do. So I think I have more indirect than direct, which I think is good, unless I've just not found them. Like
Yeah,
I can't. Sorry,
I think that's good, yeah.
that's good. Because I can't find that many people that are like use the word fun. Lots of people use the word like personality and chatty, which is sort of a similar thing. But yeah, I can only really find a handful of like copywriters who do fun and personality specifically, which I guess is good because fewer competitors. It's always a good thing.
And are they all freelancers or some of them like more a business / agency type?
I'd say so. I found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 of them are freelancers, and one of them it's still like a person, like it's still run by a person, obviously, but it's more of a business than a freelance dealio. So yeah.
Were there any other things that made you decide whether it was a direct or an indirect competitor?
Not really. No, I think it was the fun. Like, do they use the word fun or personality or something like that in what they say? That was what I was looking for, really. So I suppose my indirect competitors are anybody who does like copywriting or tone of voice or brand stuff, but not specifically. Or I suppose bringing fun to what people do, but in other ways and in ways that isn't about copy. So like, I don't know, people practices that businesses have and HR stuff like that. I suppose that's a way of bringing fun to what people do, but it's obviously not the same skill set that I have. But yeah, it's been interesting.
It's interesting when you start. I think the good thing about doing a competitor analysis is it helps you kind of examine what you do and how to put it out there.
Yeah,
analyzing other people and you're kind of comparing yourself to them.
Yeah,
and it's really useful to do that exercise. And you will
definitely.
Yeah, you will have different kind of slightly different types of business. Like you might have I can think of someone who does copy, but she's repositioned recently to do more brand strategy stuff.
Okay.
So you might have people like that perhaps in it because people might be comparing you to them. It's kind of who your ideal customers are going to be going towards.
Yeah, I guess. I had quite a reassuring number that I found of direct competitors because it shows me that like there is a demand for it and people will pay for that. But also it's not massively overcrowded that I feel like I'm gonna struggle to stand out. So yeah, it was a reassuring number of direct competitors, I think.
Oh, excellent. Just let us know next time how you get on with that.
Okay.
I remember when Judy did this, she hates competitor analysis. It made her feel, when she first did one, it made her feel, she looked at all the good things about competitors and had like comparisonitis. But that's why I've done on the competitor analysis, that's why I've got strengths and weaknesses. Because if you start actually looking at their weaknesses, you think, oh, actually, that's what I'm really good at, and they're not great at that. You know, it's more balanced.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
Mm. So are you up to date with everything else, Gina?
Yeah, I had a quiet week a couple of weeks ago, and I just used that as a week to like smash out brand blueprint stuff. So I basically went and redid everything because I'd done the first stuff without having this focus of like the fun copy and that whole thing. So just redid it. But yeah, I think I'm up to date with everything now.
How different was it when you redid it? Was it just more the language you used, or?
It was more the language, and like it's funny, like I was looking back through like the mind maps and the brainstorms and the notes I'd taken, and threads of it were all there. But it was just pulling it together. And I found it was just, yeah, it was just reframing everything. And I found it a lot easier having that clearer vision of like where I wanted to be and what I wanted to do with it. And yeah, it just felt a lot faster. But that's obviously because I'd done like the groundwork and had been thinking about it in the background beforehand. So it wasn't like I was coming to it for the first time again. So yeah, I think I'm nearly there with it.
Exciting. I've noticed you've posted a few things about fun as well. I've been like, oh,
Yeah.
it's coming through already.
There she goes. Yeah, I just think it might, to me, it feels like a broken record, and it's only been what, a week or so of me posting. But I know that that's not like, people who follow me won't see every single post. They'll see like the odd one or here and there. So yeah, I've just been trying to use the word fun as much as possible. And just saying the same things, but like in different scenarios and different contexts, which yeah, does it, I don't feel as uncomfortable about it anymore. I don't feel like, oh, I said this last week, or like it's just feels repetitive. I'm like, I just know that that's how it works. You just got to say the same thing,
Yeah,
over and over again. So
yeah. I'd say only 10% of my followers on Instagram anyway see my content. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. If you think about it as a marketing channel, you actually think that's pretty shit.
Yeah.
Why am I doing that? But I think LinkedIn's a bit the same at the minute as well. So, but also if you want to feel like a broken record in the nicest possible way.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I really bore myself with my content. How many more ways can I say about your why and finding the right customers and boring. But that's what, if you're talking about the things if you're talking about the things you want to be known for over and over and over and over again, that's what people will remember you for. And if something comes up, there won't be another option. Like if someone's in conversation with somebody and they're talking about, needing, oh, my content's really boring, I know who you need to speak to. There won't be anyone else because you're on about it and constantly, and
yeah, in your head. And I have found the kind of engagement I've been getting, or what I've been posting, has been a lot better. And I think there's a couple of posts where I think there was one I did last week, like something about corporate jargon, that got more comments than likes. And I always think that's a good sign of like the actual engagement it gets. And I've had comments from people I don't know being like, oh yeah, 100%, like this sounds great. So it just, I don't know, it makes me feel like I'm on the right track and saying the right thing, and it's actually resonating with people, and I'm saying it in the right way as well. So yeah, it's been a good like little experimenty week of doing the new messaging, the new brand stuff. but without saying what it is yet, you know.
Yeah. It was a good way to play around, isn't it? And find your feet.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I suppose the next job is to work out how to shift it over to Hoop and how I'm going to do that and go from, Gina wrote it to Hoop on socials and stuff like that. But we'll figure that out. Fine.
Yeah. That'll be fine. Yes, it will be fine. It's exciting though. It's really cool.
It's very exciting. Yes.
Lauren, it sounds like you've got a few jobs, potential jobs that might be good ones. Is that because you're looking out for the right and wrong clients a bit more, or do you think that is it how you
I think it's just lucky, it's just recommendations that they've sort of come along, I think.
It's interesting though, isn't it, that's the sort of work that is coming to you anyway. Perhaps how you speak, if you speak to people in a slightly different way now, that might change the work in a slight, like you'd have pitched it as graphic design, just pure graphic design before, the type of work you ended up doing would have been slightly different to how you're kind of approaching things a bit now.
Yeah.
Maybe. How are you doing with your blueprint?
I think I'm up to date in a sense, but I feel like I need to do the same as Gina, just go back to the beginning, because I had a quick look this morning and like my goals at the beginning weren't, well, they were kind of business goals, but they were more about like create a new brand, take more time for myself, that sort of thing. So they were those kind of things, which I think is kind of, I'm doing those now. So what are the new goals in terms of everything that we've worked through? Like, do I need to go back and, yeah. And as I'm reading it through, because I think I looked at some competitors as well when I was doing the mood boards to see what other people were doing, what they look like. And it is slightly intimidating because everyone looks so together, like they have a definite, like, I am this, I am this, I am this. And I was like, oh, okay. I'm still not really sure where I am within this compared to where they are. But I'm like, well, they have to be there because they're out there. Like they've had to do that thinking. So I think, like Gina said, I need to go back to the beginning and go through it again and see if there are threads that are running through. And the thing where I think I am, is that the right thing? Do I need to add more things at the beginning? And hopefully that will help.
Yeah.
So I'm up to date, but I'm not, in a sense, because I feel like I need to go through everything.
There's a lot of going backwards and forwards because things do affect other things. I know when I spoke to Eve last, she was saying she was going back, revisiting some bits because it all kind of intertwines and affects things.
Yeah.
It's probably worth you doing your competitor analysis as well, because on the surface, people can look like they've got it together, but when you start actually analysing how they come across, you think, they're not actually saying that much, or they're just literally talking about themselves. I find designers do this a lot. I do this, I do that. And there's no understanding of like, I know that you need this, a language. So I'd be interested to see how you feel once you've kind of delved in a little bit.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, that's good to remember that, because you're right.
They might have not done the in-depth thinking that you're doing.
Yeah, they definitely seem to all have like picked something, and that's whether it's like they're doing good stuff or they believe in this style, or it's very much like, I am this. You're like, okay. Yeah, that's true.
Really common. It's common in all businesses, and actually if you do this work, it's quite easy to stand out because so many businesses do that. I do this, I do that. Yeah. So I think that would be really interesting.
Okay, so maybe do that bit first, then the next section, and then jump back. Okay.
Yeah, because that might also spark some ideas. If somebody's doing something quite good, you could say, oh, actually, you know, I could work on that part of my business,
Mm,
maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes. The marketing topic is quite meaty. Sorry, guys. Let me just find it. And I'll look at it. Yeah, it's got quite a few bits in. I think the messaging part can be the trickiest part of it sometimes, because you just get, it's making you get very specific in what you're talking about.
Cool.
But it's really useful. It's very useful. We're getting near to the end. Gemma's on a train. She's I think she's going to Atomicon, so she's on a train. Let me just ask her if she's got any questions, because she's in communication. Yeah, so marketing topic's quite meaty, but it should pull everything together and bring some clarity. Gina, tell us about briefing your designer. I want to hear about this. How did you brief?
So we're in the like briefing stages at the moment. But I've just sent her over the blueprint and my Pinterest board as well that I worked on. So yeah, I think we're kicking off officially on 1st of July. And I've asked if I can have working to like having the full deadline, everything signed off and done in like August, mid-August latest. But I've asked if I can have at least like 2 or 3 colours of the colour palette and a typeface signed off like ASAP, basically. Because I want to start creating some content to put out there about Hoot and the rebrand and everything. But I don't want it to be completely disjoined when I do get the full branding suite done. So if I can start doing like posts or make graphics or make a holding site that's got some of the visual elements in it, but not everything, that can help me like start, putting stuff out there and talking about new services and yeah, just gauging the interest in it as well. Which she said she's more than happy to do that. So yeah, hopefully by mid-July, maybe late July, I'll be able to have like some stuff to start with, which is good. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna, when we do start like doing the briefings and workshops and working out what it is that I want, I'm just gonna be very clear. Like it's not. I don't want it to look like a, daycare center or like a early learning shop or whatever. Like I still want it to be taken seriously and professional, but just human and fun. So yeah, and no hooters and no owls. So yeah, that's my priorities at the moment.
Joyful. What kind of words did you use to describe it?
Well, just like human, fun, authentic, and yeah, but then balancing that with being taken seriously and not just being like, yeah, like I don't want to look childish, because I think with the logos that I've spotted that I like the look of that I put on my Pinterest board, I can see how it could get turned into like a bright, colourful Fisher Price logo,
Yeah.
which I don't want.
Yeah. It's like playful but not childlike, isn't it?
Yeah. So yeah, I think we'll do a part of her process. I think we'll do like a bit of a workshop and a brand vision session where we'll get all this out. I think that'll be start of July. But yeah, so far exciting. Feels good.
I'm so excited.
Mhm.
Excited. So we've got a 1-to-1 on Thursday, so we can
Chat. Yeah.
dig into that.
It's also been because this is the first time I've ever spent this much in one go on my business, on anything. But I found that process really good for like how I think about my pricing, because I didn't at any stage look at someone's pricing and go, well, it can't be worth that much. Like, it's just a logo. Because I just thought, well, they know what they're doing. They're the expert, and I'm paying for it to be done to a high standard. And I now know that's how I need to think that people will react to my prices. Like, they won't go, oh, it's just words on the page. Like, I could do a good job. I could do the same quality, because they know they can't. And it's just, yeah, it's just given me a bit more confidence to put my prices up and stick to them, because I am good at what I do.
That's interesting, isn't it? Looking at it from that other perspective. And if your prices go up a little bit, it should put off the people who think they can write it.
Yeah.
People come to you because they're like, I just need someone to do this.
Mm.
And they've got that respect for the pricing and the value, see the value of it. Yeah. So just flipping it on its other head, because if you look at sometimes I look at some competitors and think, ooh, on the pricing, but often when you're looking at people look like competitors pricing, you don't think, well, that's a lot of money, do you?
No, because it will be how much they are going to charge based on the demand and like how good they are.
But you're pricing it, like you two have sort of told me today that you were pricing it up in different ways to try and get the price down.
Yeah, but not anymore.
Gina's just going to be like dripping in gold and swanky. Great, you know.
No, I would, if I did have like a sudden influx of disposable income, I think I'd spend it on just following Hosier on tour. Just go and see him like every night in different countries and different cities around the world. So he'd have to be my friend then. That's what I'd spend it on.
You might end up with a restraining.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, cross that bridge.
You'd have the money to maybe fight that, so
yeah,
things and roundabouts. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the goal, the dream.
All right, okay. Is that top of your goals list?
It's not in my blueprint. It's a personal one. It's a secret. Secret goal.
Love that. Well, Gemma has sent some of her current existential crises around her blueprint, so I actually thought it could be interesting for us to discuss these. And she can watch this back and think about them. So I think my current brand struggles all center around taking over a brand that was built by someone else and balancing what I believe in and think it should be with what it currently is. And then she's put all thoughts welcome. I think I'm fearful of making all the changes I need to, because it's far more change than I initially thought. And I don't want people to be like, ah.
But then I guess you can't carry on if you're not feeling it.
That's the point. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess if you keep stuff when you know it's right, you're always going to be thinking there's something not right. Or is it like a gradual change, like step? So maybe not do it all at once. Don't know. There's like 2 different ways of doing it, isn't there?
Do you think if you don't fully make it how you want it to be, your heart's never going to be in it?
Yeah, and you're going to constantly be revising and revising. I don't know. There's 2 ways to do it, I guess. You could either give yourself steps to change certain things at certain times. So at least you've got a plan and you know it will change, but it's not as scary for everyone. Or it's just off the deep end and just do it all. But is the worry from like a customer's perspective?
Yeah, it sounds like it is. I don't. Is it going to be? I don't want people to be like, ah, she said. But I think so many things in my head right now. Yeah, I think she's worried about the customers. My first question is, based on where you want to be, are those customers the right customers? Anyway, like, do they light you up? Are they really like, which ones are you going to annoy? Think about that. And if the ones that you're going to annoy, which you probably won't anyway, or basically will walk away from you, aren't the people that really light you up, does that matter?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because
Mm.
I don't think, from what Gemma has said already, it doesn't. I think what she wants to change is like the feel of the community.
Yeah.
But the like nuts and bolts of how that is created aren't actually really changing that much. Like there's still in-person events, there's still digital content. Like those pillars are still there, they're just being changed. And I agree with you, Fliss. I don't think the people that Gemma actually wants in the community are the kind of people who would be put off by small changes to like the service.
And I think when you've got a community as well, there's different ways you can make changes, but if you're transparent with people and open about it, the right people will stick with you through that.
Yeah. And I agree, like if she doesn't make the changes now and doesn't, I don't mean like all at once, all in one go, like there is the risk that it will never feel like hers and she'll never like feel fully passionate. Also, I don't know how to address Gemma, like because she's not. I feel weird saying she, but because she'll be watching this later. So do we say you? Like she's not here. I don't know.
Okay, why don't we do why don't you talk directly to Gemma?
Okay.
A heartfelt message.
The spirit of Gemma. Yeah. I just think yeah.
Yeah.
And also Mike handed it over to her, knowing that you do a good job. Like
I think my question is why, because Gemma obviously has So Contented, which is her first business. I think she needs to think about why she wanted to take it on in the first place, because it's not her first love. Why she wanted to take it on in the first place and what it was that she was so passionate about that she didn't want it to just close down. Why was it that she was like, no, this is really important. I can't let Mike close this out. I'm taking this on. Because that is really what she needs to hold on to and make the decisions based on that.
But also making changes to the business, because all businesses evolve, don't they, over time? They kind of have to. So maybe making changes isn't always a negative.
Yeah.
So because the thing is, like you can't just keep it the same as it was; it would just stagnate, won't it? So making these changes is an improvement, not a bad thing.
That's a good point.
And it would feel even worse if you kept it the same for fear of not of upsetting people and making them go but then like the business doing worse as a result of that. You'd rather make the changes like and stick to them and do them justice. And also, I think there's an element of I've spoken to Gemma about this before. Like, I think because she's got a clear idea of what she wants it to be, but she's the only person that can see that. And so when she gets stressed that things are going to change massively, people are going to get like upset and like it's going to be too fast. I think she's filling in those gaps, and she's the only one that can see that. And she's like, no one else is going, well, where are all these changes coming from? Like, why are you doing them quick enough? Why aren't X, Y, Z? Like, she's the only person that sees the gap and sees the amount of change that has to happen. Whereas on the receiving end of that, it's going to come across as more like measured and in the right pace. I don't know if that makes sense at all.
It makes so much sense. I think we're so close to our businesses, all of us, that when we're doing all this work, it feels massive. And it is massive. There's a lot to do sometimes. But actually, to the outside world, as long as you kind of do it in the right way, in a way that's authentic to you, it just makes sense.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like a huge thing.
No.
Yeah, right. I think it won't. And and off the back of that, actually, Gina, I think if she doesn't make the change, she won't have the motivation to do it. So it, as you said, I think Lauren, you said it'll stagnate, but she won't want to do it. The passion won't be there. So what's the alternative? Changing it completely, which I don't think is a complete change anyway, just feels massive in her head. Changing it completely and it being something really strong with meaning that she is passionate about, or not changing it and what?
And the thing is, if you don't change it, you're constantly second guessing because you're trying to think what somebody else would have done or what somebody else want, where it's really hard to think like that. But if you do have a clear idea yourself, which I think Gemma has, then you can just move forwards. It's easier.
So what's our advice? Is it JFDI?
Yeah. 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 I do think the right people won't care. And if people care, they're the wrong people anyway. So there's the door.
Yeah.
In a nice way.
Yeah. Not your people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my personal advice is stop thinking, start doing. Yeah, sometimes actually I've been there so much, been in my head so much around my own business and not actually started doing anything. It paralyzes you, doesn't it? You just do. Oh.
Yeah. And I think like you had, Gina, like this week when you have started moving forwards and doing stuff, like the changes are massive already and they're all positive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually I think thinking about the change can make it feel bigger than it actually is when you're doing it. Is that right, Gina?
Oh yeah. Like I immediately got so stressed about telling all my clients how things were going to change and the fact that things were changing, and that they were going to be really upset. Like same thing as what Gemma's talking about, but I've told everyone now and they've all of them have said that's really exciting. We'd love to incorporate that into what we do. And if it ever gets to a point where we're not serving you anymore, tell us and we can walk away. Like it always is worse in your head than it is in real life. Like the conversations I've had with clients and their reception to it has been better than I thought it would be. And I could have quite easily gone, oh, I'm just gonna not tell them. I'm just gonna like wait until they see it, you know. But being outright with it and upfront with it and just being honest definitely helps to mitigate that. So I think if Gemma is worried about people going, she needs to do it and then tell people she's doing it as well. which she already is, like the updates on Mighty Networks. Like, yeah, she's already doing it.
Mm. Mm. Oh,
Yeah.
good. Obviously, she's not here to fight back, so she has to do what you say, really. So I like that. Yeah, I think you're right. If your heart's not in something, you ain't gonna do it.
Yeah.
If your heart's in something, people receive it really well. And I think it's really interesting that all your clients have said to you, or some of them have said to you, if we're not serving you, let us know. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got some good clients there, Gina.
I do. Very lucky. But yeah, I do think she can't go, because I think her and I are going through quite similar processes at the moment of like, you see what you want, you realise you're not there. And I don't know if it'd be the same for Gemma, but I know I can't go back now. Like, now that I've realised what I do want and what I do want it to look like, I cannot stay where I am. And I spoke to my dad about it the other week and like told him that I was a bit stressed and a bit worried, and he was like, oh well, do you have to change it? Like, could you just stay as you are? And I was like, no, I can't. Like, because I wouldn't be miserable, but I wouldn't be as passionate about it as I am about this future version. And I think it might be the same for Gemma, like we've all been saying just now. Like, you'd be doing yourself a disservice to dilute it.
But also, I think we're all doing the blueprint because we weren't necessarily feeling where we were before. Like we felt something quite right, or we needed to look into it, or what were we doing? I think if we were all happy before, we wouldn't be here. But the fact we're doing it is because we want to progress and change and do something different.
Yeah.
Good point. Lauren, as an outside perspective, because you're not in the Northern Affinity, can you see anything that Gemma, can you?
It's a hard one because I'm not part of it. I don't really know what it was before. I can say
she's coming in. She's here. Yeah. We're just talking about you. Hello. She's probably just come to listen. She's on the train.
Yeah, I'm lurking. I've just got off the train, so I've actually got some signal. So I'm just lurking and listening, and you're in my handbag. So
yeah. Well, we've just discussed. We've just discussed. Do you want to hear from these guys what they think?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Lauren, you want to go first?
I think we were discussing it, and I think we feel like you should go for it. If you feel changes need to be made, then if you don't make those changes, are you going to be happy staying doing what you're doing and have the same passion for it? But if you make those changes, like you'll have the passion and the people, well, Fliss said this, that the people, your ideal customers who you do want, they'll stay with you and you'll get more of those people. Maybe the people that aren't happy, maybe they're not right in that new space.
Valid points. I think yeah, I think maybe some of it comes from, so someone asked me if any of it comes from, and actually Gina asked me this same question, like, because this business belonged to my husband initially, if some of my fears around making changes is about, I guess, him and kind of a legacy kind of thing. But it's definitely not. I think it's probably more, I guess it's probably more the people that have supported him, I think, that I am more concerned about, if that makes sense.
But he's not in the business anymore.
No. But that's what I mean. It's the people that, have been there from the beginning with Mike, I suppose.
But also, I think if you are going to make changes, like all businesses have to evolve and change, and the changes you're bringing in are adding to it, maybe not taking away from it. So seeing them as like a positive change rather than negative.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's just I think it's a fear of making changes quickly more than anything. It's not that I don't want to change it, it's that I think there's a lot probably to change. And I think after already changing so that it's me to then like come bowling in and be like, PS, changing everything, just feels a bit,
I think Gina made a point that often when we're making changes to our business, it feels massive, but from the outside, it doesn't look as massive. So you feel like you've got a lot to do, but actually from an external point of view, someone looking in and at those changes, it won't feel massive. It's just because of everything that's in your head and what you have to do, it feels a lot bigger and like a much further shift. Is that right, Gina? Paraphrase?
Yeah, no, spot on.
yeah, like it seems big to me, but somebody else might not think so.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
look big because you've got so much work to do, but the accumulation of that work, I can't say that word, doesn't look huge.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think I just need to crack on it. I think some of it is acclimatization as well, because it's more than I thought it was going to be.
I want to ask you when Mike said he wasn't doing it anymore, because you obviously you were in so contented at that point.
Yeah.
What was it that you were so passionate about in the first place that you were determined that you weren't going to let Mike just shut it down?
The people that were in it.
Because you need to harness what it is and focus on that.
Yeah, it was the people that were in it. I think it was I think it was seeing all the good that it had done and all the connections and friendships that it had created. And that for me was what I didn't want to let go. And I thought it would be a shame to not have more, like, it would be a real shame if more people didn't get the opportunity to have become part of the thing that the people that were in it had already become part of and had got from it.
And isn't that what you're trying to harness going forwards anyway?
Very much, yes, very much so. I think I'm just doing it maybe in a slightly different way to Mike.
Yeah, because you are a different person, and I think Mike had got, from a personal experience, Mike had got quite disheartened from it for a while, and he had he tried lots of different things, and actually you probably do have to change quite a lot of things because you have to make it make more sense.
You know what, Fliss? I've just had a moment there, like when you said that, like actually I've probably, even when Mike owned it, I've probably got more from it than Mike did.
Interesting.
Because I think I've possibly come at it from a slightly different perspective.
Sorry.
I was just thinking that that's a positive as well, because you've seen that business from both sides. So you've been there and you've been part of it. So you can kind of bring everything you've gathered from that into running it, can't you? Whereas I guess he had that, he was always on the other side.
Yeah, you're right. And actually, when you've said that, I think that is probably what I've tried to do. And possibly where my, oh my God, this is more different than I thought kind of thing has come from.
Yeah.
Because Mike's very much sort of, he did talk about it as a community, but he sort of talked about it as a platform as well, about, using our community to sort of reach more people. And that kind of felt, I guess, kind of typical networking, really, fundamentally. Whereas I think probably what I've got from it is maybe what I am now trying to perpetuate for everyone else in it. And I guess what I see that some of the people I am closest to in the community, like what they've got from it as well, I think is more aligned with what I've got from it than what Mike talked about, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think that the people that have been there supporting Mike from the beginning have that community as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right.
Well, this is a good way to start Monday morning in a positive light, isn't it? I've just got something else I want you to think about. If you didn't make the changes because you were worried about upsetting people, what would happen?
Well, probably nothing, and I mean that in a negative way. Like it would probably just all just chug along, staying the same, I think. And I think maybe if I am disconnected from it because I don't make it true to the things that I believe in, then how can I make it successful for the people that are in it?
Yeah. And also from Gemma, from sort of seeing you and hearing you speak, you're a very proactive person who likes to get things done. So I can't imagine you having something and letting it chug along. Like you've always said you like running business and doing it because you don't want to get tied up in red tape or waiting for decisions. You kind of like to do it.
That's a very valid point.
It also makes me think, like, in this business, you kind of maybe do want to make those changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I do. I think it's just been a bit of a realization moment for me of seeing how different it is compared to what I thought it was going to be. I think in my head, I just thought, oh yeah, this is going to be really smooth, and yeah, I'm going to make a few changes, but like I thought a lot of the changes I would make would be more functional and practical than at a brand level. And the more I've gone through this process, the more I've realized that more of it needs to change than I'd initially anticipated.
I think, though, some of it could be as well. You knew where Mike wanted to take it, so you've got that in your head, whereas not everybody who's in the community was aware of that. And what you've realized is where you know it should go isn't that. So it probably feels like a further jump because you're thinking about where Mike wanted it to go, but that's not relevant to everyone in the community anyway. So it's probably less of a jump for everyone else. It's the way you think you're thinking about it is further.
Yeah, you're probably right. And in honesty, I'm not sure that Mike ever really knew where he wanted to take it. I think that chopped and changed a lot. But if I think about how I've sort of thought about it, even from the beginning, before it was mine, I don't think that really has changed for me, actually. I think maybe I wanted Mike to take it in a direction that he was possibly never going to.
Do you think this is about more about you having the confidence to take it in the direction that you want it above anything else?
Yeah, I do think now that we've talked about it, I do think a lot of my concerns are very much rooted in, I guess, a loyalty to the people that have always been there and sort of making sure that it continues to serve them. And actually, there will probably be some people for which it maybe doesn't, and that's just gonna have to be okay.
But Gina, you were worried about that, weren't you?
Yeah, I think I was just saying before, one of the things I was really worried about once I'd realized I wanted to start Who Copy and change everything was telling my existing clients and what their reactions were going to be to seeing like new branding, new messaging, stuff like that. I've now spoken to all of them and been very upfront with them and said, this is my plan, this is changing. You know, if you want to do that kind of thing, great. If you don't, it's not going to interrupt your service, like, for the time, like, it's all good. And their reaction has been across the board better than I could have expected. They've all been really supportive. They all love the idea, and they've said, like, they want to either incorporate what I want to do into what they're doing because it sounds great, or they've said, if it gets to a point where the work we're doing anymore doesn't serve you, let us know and we can explore other options. So I think the idea you have in your head of how people are going to react to it, are going to react to the changes, is worse than it ever will be. Like, the reality of how people are going to react, they're going to support it and they're going to be here for it. It's just that voice in your head and that image in your head that you've got of having that conversation with those people.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. I do think there is an element though of, like, in that example that you've given there, you can continue with the service as it is should they wish to do that for a period of time, and should you choose to do that. Whereas I'm not sure I can. I think there's an element of, for people, like, you're on board or you're not, and there's not really anything I can deliver that's a halfway house.
But is there anything wrong with that?
No, I don't think there is, but I think it's coming back to that, you know, for some of the people that have been there from the early days. So stuff like, you know, the digital partners, while the vast majority of them are really unengaged and disengaged, and that's why, you know, I'm quite solid in that decision that I've made there to get rid of that as an offering going forward. As an example, there are some people who are on that, but are actually quite engaged partners. So there will come a time where when I draw a line under that service, there will be decisions that are to be made. And again, that's fine, but I do think it's very much rooted in, you know, a lot of these people were very supportive of Mike when he started this business and has changed things and grown things. But I guess that's Mike, isn't it? And if they want to, I don't know, it's not my problem, I suppose, in that way.
Yeah. Also, I have a question.
Yes.
Because obviously you've announced to the network that you're in charge now. Everybody knows that Mike isn't involved anymore.
Yeah.
What's been the reaction to that so far? Has anyone come to you and gone, "Oh, well, if Mike's going, I'm going," or what the hell are you doing to Northern Affinity? Like, what have people actually said to you?
I think some of the things I've said have sparked a few people to say, well, it's less about Mike, but they have said things like, "Oh, well, I don't really come to stuff, so you know, maybe not for me right now," kind of thing, which is fine. Nobody said anything negative. I don't know whether people do though, these days.
True, yeah.
Nobody has specifically said, "Oh, now that Mike's not there, I'm not interested," but there are people that I've never really spoken to and that haven't reached out since Mike has gone, and I don't know whether, and you know, I fully expect those people will drop off. And sometimes it's like getting blood from a stone from Mike as well. So I don't really know with some people what the situation is or was or whatever. So yeah, I guess I'm just gonna have to do what I believe is right and see what happens.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I don't think your heart will be in it if it's a Frankenstein. And I think it would ultimately end in it closing. That's my...
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think it just sort of feels like, it's going to be, I'm kind of starting again without starting again, but I'm sort of starting again. in my head, I wasn't coming in to start this business again, but actually in reality, I think I am in many ways.
Probably easier to start it again.
Yeah.
It probably would have been easier to shut it down and start it again under like a new name and it just be me on reflection. And I'm not going to do that. But in many ways, I do think that could have been easier because I would have just set it up as I thought was right. And that would have been people's first impression of it. I'm sorry if you can hear all the seagulls in the background, by the way. I'm just near the Tyne Bridge. They're going absolutely wild. I don't know why. They're all sat still, but they are going wild.
I think you need to stop thinking about it and just do it.
I think you're probably right.
Yeah.
And do you know what? If this had been something that I had started and was completely going from scratch, I think I would have very much, well, you know, we've met. So I think I very much would have taken that attitude to it. I think it's definitely rooted in some semblance of, oh, I hope that like not wanting to hack people off who have supported Mike and the business on the journey so far, but I can't really do anything about that, can I? If I'm doing what I think is right for the right reasons, I guess that is what it is.
If you try and please everybody, you'll end up pleasing nobody.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And also, like with the legacy, the options for the legacy is either you didn't take it on, it would have completely shut down, or you are taking it on and evolving it and giving it a future. So I think like you're still doing the right thing by changing it. You're taking it somewhere, whereas like first said, the previous option was just nothing.
Yeah,
So
you're right, Lauren.
yeah, I'm excited though to see what you can do and change, and all the new people that you can bring to it that are the right people, and will fit it and sort of be part of it and not just sort of sit back.
Yeah, you're right, because you say you've got quite a few people who aren't engaged at the minute. Well, that says a lot.
Yes, definitely. And I don't know whether they were with Mike. I don't know whether Mike was speaking to people individually or not, but if they're not engaging with the community, that does make it pointless them being there. Because it wasn't, you know, if it's just people, just friends of Mike, that's not what we're here for, is it?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We've not called Mike's mates. So we need to, although I kind of like that. But yeah, I think, yeah, you're right. You're right. You're all right.
Yeah.
I
Sometimes
need to just do the next right thing. I just need to do whatever I believe is right with the information that I currently have and take it from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you just need to have that conversation, don't you, to figure it out. It's really a lot stronger. If you've got that clear vision in your mind and you stick to that vision, it will be so strong.
And I do, and I think maybe that is where some of this is coming from. I think I am pretty clear on where it's going and what I see for the people that are in it now and that will become part of it in the future.
I get it. It can feel wobbly to make a lot of change to your business, but it can also feel wobbly to not make that change when you're in the place where you've not made the change and it's not where you want to be. So it's
right.
And also I think like Gina, you were saying earlier about your business. Now you kind of know where you want to go. You've gone back through the other modules and you said it's been so much simpler because you're like, I actually know what I'm doing, and there were threads through that, but I can definitely go back and nail it. Whereas I think like if you're trying to do it going through and thinking like, oh, how do I keep the legacy but do this but move it forward, you're always going to be back and forth and slightly confused.
Is there a way you can factor in that legacy like into a value or something, like one of your brand values, because then that might mitigate like the fear I guess you have of doing things in a way that don't honor where it came from, but also gives you the flexibility to actually like make changes and move forward. So like, if you could, I don't know, pardon?
Tell me more about that.
So like if you had a value that was like built dedicated to the vision that Mike had and why Mike started it. So what, and captured that, and you could create it with him, so that when it came to making decisions, you could check back against that and go, well, does it fit the reason why he started it? Yes or no? Okay, well, like, well, how does that factor against the other values I've got as well? And just bring a bit of like a, I don't know, try and codify what it is that he started it for. And not, I don't mean like the people that started it with him. That's not what that value is for. It's for the vision that Mike had, because it was that vision and purpose that he set it up with that attracted those people in the first place.
I think maybe going back through that brand story exercise and thinking about why Mike set it up in the first place and bringing that into that could be a good starting point. Because from my perspective, I think he set it up because he realized that he was connecting people in his day-to-day work and bringing people together.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
So it's that.
Yeah, he did. And then it ended up sort of becoming this whole like platform idea. And I don't know if you remember on the website, he had that thing about, yeah, we'll tweet about you so many times and we'll do this so many times. And it became I think it almost became a Frankenstein that I'm now trying to unfrank, I guess.
Yeah, but if you take it back to the very essence of the beginning of why you set it up, when it was like, and you've got all those core members from the very beginning, it was about connecting people.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
So I'd do that brand story exercise with that in mind and see what you come up with for that, because I think the thread is there. I think
you're right.
Ignore all the other stuff that Mike brought in that's not relevant. Bin that off. In fact, write that on a piece of paper and burn it. All those things aren't right. Write each of them on a piece of paper and burn them. Not in front of Mike.
Love that idea. Love that idea.
That could be get rid of them.
I love that idea. Very therapeutic.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I feel like I've just like swooped into Lurk and taken all the airtime.
No, but it's really interesting though, isn't it? Because it's kind of highlighted the point, the importance of really being clear on why you're doing what you're doing, what you really want, and being really clear on that for you to enjoy what you do. Essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're right.
This is important for all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
thanks, guys. Needed the pep talk.
That's what we're here for, isn't it? That's what this session's here for. I feel like it's good. I think you should listen back as well to what Lauren and Gina were saying, kind of about where they're at, because I think you'll get a lot from that as well.
Yeah,
I will do.
Yeah, I think in a sense we are all in the same place slightly, that we've got to a point, and then Gina's done it where you went back to the beginning and redid everything, because by the time you've worked through this much, things are beginning to crystallize in your head that you're thinking, oh, actually, light bulbs are going on. And then you're going back, which I think is the same thing you're doing. You've got to a point you think, still something not right here. What's not right? Why can't I do this? And then when you make the decision, you sort of go back and it's clear. So yeah,
yeah, you're right.
It's good to see someone else doing the same thing and having that same journey.
Yeah, but it's not like the second time when I went through and did everything the second time, it was so fast. Like it wasn't starting from scratch at all. Like, because I'd done the groundwork of doing it the first time, and then I could just do everything with so much clarity and so quickly that I was like, yeah. So it's not, you're not just going back to square one.
Mm-hmm. It's an upward spiral.
Yeah.
Oh, a tornado. No, maybe not a tornado, because that's destructive.
Helicopter.
Yeah.
Or helicopter.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, because actually when you make the decisions, really being clear on what you're doing, you're like, yeah, done. move on.
Yeah, and I do feel like every conversation does inch me a little bit closer to where I think it is, and I think I am clear on that vision stuff. I think it's more. I do think it is now that they're taking action, just being bold enough to do the things that I know are right.
Mhm.
Yeah, JFDI it.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, well, I really enjoyed this today.
Mhm.
Thanks for coming on. These guys were like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to talk about this morning.
Enter Gemma Edwards.
Yeah.
Problems coming out of her eyeballs.
Yeah, but isn't it interesting though that you do all seem in a very similar situation? I think it's just thinking about it in different ways, isn't it? Oh, fabulous. I've enjoyed it. Has anyone got anything else they want to add? Oh, I've added you all to the summer camp. So if you do want to join in with the summer camp sessions, you are on the events and the extra channels in the group. Ready for that?
Give me an overview of the game.
It's basically a planning session. So you've got your quarterly planning session a week today. So we'll look at like Q3. Wow, that's mental.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that's basically the same as what we did 3 months ago. Wow. But then summer camp is a planning session at the beginning of July, a planning session at the beginning of August, and it's designed for people who are working on the business over summer. It's come from me working on my business over summer last year and then not enjoying summer. Like if you want to work on your business and get the things done that you really want to get done without getting distracted by other things, but also enjoy other things, so plan it around time off and things like that. It's designed for that. And then every Monday I'm gonna go into there's a channel in the Blueprint community where I'm going to ask you what you're 3 things you're doing this week. One will be your focus for work, one will be your focus for not work, and then a third, depending on what your balance is going to be. So that's the idea.
Cool.
Realistic planning, basically. Designed to stop me not working on my business the entire of summer, basically. Yes. So yeah, you're in that. And then we've got quarterly planning next Monday.
Okay.
And then we've got the marketing module. So Gemma, you've got a week to do the rest of your blueprint.
To go back and start again, burn it all down and start again.
Yeah.
Good. So it's all under control. It's all under control.
Yeah, I'll have that complete. Yeah. Any questions or thoughts? Wow.
No, nothing from me.
Right. Well, enjoy your Tomicon.
Thank you.
Exciting.
Yeah.
I think it'd be quite useful actually, sitting there and listening to talks and things with this whole I'm just cracking on with it mindset and see what you come out with.
Yeah, some of the speakers are interesting.
Well, if there's anything interesting, please do share it with us.
I will. Although this year's like keynote is Davina McCall, and I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Interesting. I'm interested to see what she talks about.
Yeah, I mean, they've sort of pitched her like talking about like her fitness business and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, cool. But the last year they had Joe Wicks, and now that makes sense because he really did build it from absolutely nothing. Whereas what's Davina gonna say? Like, yeah, so I was a TV presenter, so you just need to do that, and then once you're on telly, you can start a fitness business. Do you know what I mean? And you're like, I'm not sure that you've really grown your business in the way that we all are, in a way that we can relate to. But let's see what she says. I'm open to hearing it.
Yeah, get your point.
We shall see. Oh my God, a kid's just nearly got run over on a bike.
Oh my word.
Absolutely wild. It's all popping off down on the quayside.
I'll let you go then and watch.
I'm going to attempt to check in early so I can leave my bag, but we shall see. Right then, guys.
Have a good Monday, everybody.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
letting me share my words.
All right, we've recorded this as well, so you can hear what we said, honestly.
I'll go back in and hear what you were saying without me.
Yeah, do that. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you maybe for quarterly planning next week.
Oh,
Bye.
see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.